Hi everybody, thank you for joining me on US Potatoes Facebook live cooking demo. I am Chef Tim. I'll be sharing 3 exciting recipes with you. I'll be making my signature salted egg gnocchi, a spicy Hasselbeck potato, and a classy dauphinoise potato, all using the tasty, delicious, and nutritious US Russet potato. Now let's get started. Now for my first recipe, I'll be making my signature salted egg gnocchi. Now a gnocchi is just a type of pasta that's made out of potatoes. Now in order to make the gnocchi, I'm going to make a mashed potato first. So this is like a bonus recipe for you all. It's really simple. The ingredients are at the corner here. You take the potatoes at whole weight, peel them, cube them up, put it in a pot with cold water, nothing else. Bring it up to a boil. Once it's a boil, simmer it until it's really tender. If you want to know how tender it should be, you take a knife, put it through, and it should break up just like that. All right? Once it breaks up like that, you would want to strain it. So I'm going to strain the potatoes while it's hot. While that's steam drying, I'm going to put a pan on the stove, bring up to heat. I'm going to put the cream. I'm going to put the salt. I'm going to put the butter. And I'm just going to bring it to a boil. You want to make sure the mixture of potatoes is hot and the cream mixture is hot. So when you put it together, it'll be easier to whip using a regular household cake. All right, that's done. Pour the cream mixture in. Really simple. Turn on your cake mixer and whip it until it's smooth. It's that easy. Look at that. The potatoes are smooth and whipped now. Look at that, so velvety. Now you got to leave it for about 5 to 10 minutes till it slightly cools down. Add your truffle oil. This gives it a heightened aroma, a really nutty flavor, and makes it really delicious. And that's done. That's your mashed potatoes done. Next, we're going to let it cool down and we're going to start making the gnocchi. Here we got our mashed potato that we made earlier. We've cooled it down to room temperature. You're going to add that to the bowl. Now we're going to put in the flour. Now I'm using tipo flour. It's a typical pasta flour from Italy. If you don't have this flour, regular plain wheat flour will do. Just put it in. Put in 1 egg and put in some salt. Now use a fork and try to get everything together. Once it starts to kind of form a dough, just like that, what do you want to do? You want to get your dough cutter and then just knead the dough a bit. And there, it's done. Now, before you roll it out, I recommend you transfer it to a mixing bowl, cover it with cling film, and put it in the chiller to rest for at least 10 minutes before you start rolling out and portioning your gnocchi. Now that your gnocchi dough has been resting in the chiller for 10 minutes, you can start rolling it. Now, get a clean surface, dust it with cornstarch. Be liberal with it. Have a baking tray on standby and dust that with cornstarch as well. Now, take a piece of that gnocchi dough out, put it onto the board, cover your dough cutter with corn flour. Now it's time to use your hands. It's the fun part. You just roll it out into a long pipe-shaped piece. Now cut it at about 3/4 of an inch thick or an inch thick, just like that. Now you can leave the gnocchi like this, but traditionally they make a shape with it. This is not a gnocchi pedal, this is a kueh siput pedal, which I bought for cheap. Dust it with a bit of corn flour, put it on top, and then give it a roll. Put it on top, and give it a roll. Simple as that. The beauty about this dish is you can make it in advance, and then you can freeze it and use it for a later time. So it's really convenient. Now that our gnocchi is all rolled up, we're going to put it in the chiller to set up for 10 to 15 minutes before we start cooking it. Here's an extra tip. Wrap it, put it in the freezer. Let it freeze for about 2 to 3 hours. Once it's hard, portion it, keep it in your freezer. Let's say during this Ramadan month, you got to wake up for sahur in the wee hours of the morning, boil some water, straight from freezer to boiling water. Once it floats, mix it with your favorite tomato sauce. It's packed with nutrients and carbohydrates that provides you energy for the rest of the day. Now for our next recipes, we're going to make the salted egg yolk crumble and salted egg seasoning. And now to make the salted egg yolk crumble. We got our salted egg yolks. We popped it in the oven for about 180 degrees Celsius for about 10 to 15 minutes, cooled it down. Now we're just going to pop it into a food processor. Simple as that, all crumbled up. You're going to transfer it to a bowl. Okay, that's your salted egg yolk crumble done. This can last in your chiller for a week. If you freeze it, it can last you a month. Now, to make the salted egg seasoning powder, I've got curry powder, meat curry powder here. I'm just going to put it in a Tupperware because all you need to do is shake it up and mix it together evenly. Got some sugar, and I got salt. Shake it up. Get a nice even mix, and it's done. Next, we're going to make the salted egg yolk gnocchi. All right, now we're going to start making the gnocchi. This is the gnocchi that we have chilled in the chiller, so we've taken it out. Now we've got boiling water here. Season it heavily with some salt or rock salt, right? Now, start off your pan. Get your pan nice and hot and ready. The gnocchi from the chiller will take about a minute to rise. Plop your gnocchi in. Don't splash it, it's hot. While your pan's heating up, put in some olive oil. Make sure your water's at a rolling boil. You don't want it simmering. There's a chance of the gnocchi just breaking apart and we'll get potato soup at the end of the day. Now the gnocchi is all risen. You want to strain it out. Get most of the water out. Be careful. This is a hot pan with hot oil. It will splatter a little bit. Season it with some salt. Try not to move it too much. Just use your tongs, peek underneath. You want to get nice caramelization. So turn your heat up. You don't want to move it too much, but you do want to use your tongs and see underneath. Get some nice caramelization of the gnocchi. And since we coated it in corn flour, it gives a nice crunchy, chewy texture on the outside. Makes the gnocchi delicious. Once you got some nice colorization, turn each gnocchi over. You can flip it. Right? Look at that. That looks beautiful. Stand by a plate. Towards the end, we add some pepper. I can see some nice colorization. That's done. Transfer it onto a different plate for holding. Now, very important, you got to turn your heat down to a low. Add more oil. Make sure your heat's down low. Once you add in the salted egg yolk crumble, it will burn and split if your heat is too hot. Now, you add some butter, 1 tablespoon of butter. Add a teaspoon of garlic. Add some curry leaves. A little bit of chili padi, and you want to saute it. You don't want to color it too much. Take it off the heat. If there's too much color going on, you add your salted egg seasoning, and you add your salted egg yolk crumble. Add 2 tablespoons of it. Gently stir it. What will happen is the oils will start releasing from the egg yolk crumble and it'll start to foam up. You see it foaming up? That's when you got to catch it. Now you can put in your gnocchi. You can put in your cherry tomatoes. You can put in some chicken floss. Now you just toss it around. It's done. That's your salted egg yolk gnocchi right there. Quick and easy meal. If you keep it chilled or frozen, for Saho you can wake up in the wee hours of the morning and you can have yourself a hearty meal that's packed with carbohydrates that'll last you throughout the day. Now to finish it off, I'm going to put some chicken floss all over it. I got some fried curry leaves here. I'm going to top it off with more salted egg yolk crumble. Look at that. And for the finishing touch, a squeeze of lime over the top to cut over the richness. And there you have it. US russet potato salted egg gnocchi. Fit for a king. Stay tuned for my next recipe. And now for my second recipe, the US Russet spicy Hasselbeck potatoes. Just for a bit of nutrition information, did you know that one US Russet potato, roughly about 180 grams, meets about 30% of your daily requirements for vitamin C, vitamin B6 and potassium. To cut the Hasselbeck potatoes, I know many of you have these chopsticks at home, these takeaway chopsticks. I know I have because I'm Indian. If I'm in the shop, I'm going to use the chopsticks because I don't want people to judge me, being Malaysian, not being able to use chopsticks. But if I tapao home, I have a lot of these at home, so I use it as a guide. Now, you want to cut your russet potato in half. So, you want to make the Hasselbeck marks right, but you don't want to cut through the potato, otherwise it'll just break off when you're boiling it. So what you do is, you put it in between these chopsticks and you start slicing. So the chopsticks is a guide. As you can see, you make perfect Hasselbeck marks. If you go too deep, it hits a chopstick, your potato is still intact. Do this for all the potatoes you need. This is a very easy recipe to do. It's one of my go-to recipes. If I'm lazy and I'm short of time, I have no time to make mashed potatoes, I have no time to make dauphinoise potatoes. This is a very quick recipe. Now that you scored your potatoes really nicely, bring a pot of water to boil, right? When it boils, you want to add in rock salt. Next, you add baking soda. What baking soda does is that it's alkaline, it breaks down the skin, thus making it easier to get crispy later on. So now, add in your potatoes. Once you add in your potatoes, let it simmer until it's really tender. Then we're going to take it out and we're going to roast it, dry it off in the oven. Then we're going to chill it. What this does is, it keeps the skin really dry. So when we fry it on the last minute, it gives you a nice crispy texture in the skin with a soft, fluffy filling. After about 20 minutes of simmering, you want to check your potatoes if they're tender. Take one out. Do a physical test, turn it over. Stick a paring knife down the middle. If it goes through without any resistance, it's done. Now what do? You take it out one by one carefully, right? Because you've sliced it halfway and it's really soft. Take it out carefully. Put it onto a baking tray lined with parchment paper. What you want to do is let it steam dry for about 10 to 15 minutes. After it's steamed dry, we're going to put it in the oven for about 20 minutes at 150 degrees Celsius. What this does, it just continues the cooking process to make sure it's cooked all the way through and it dries out the skin. What's going to happen is once the skin is dried out, we're going to chill it and then we're going to deep fry it. That'll ensure you get nice crispy skin on this Hasselbecks. Right? Now we're going to put it in the oven. It's 150 degrees for about 20 minutes. Now for US Russet spicy Hasselbeck potatoes, we're gonna top it with a dry shrimp chili oil. Here's what you need. You need garlic, chili flakes, sliced red onions, sliced ginger, light soy sauce. You got dry shrimp that's been washed under water 3 times, and corn oil. Now we're gonna blend this all up. Just put everything in the blender. It's easy as that. Get everything in. Now, as you can see, it's a smooth paste. What you want to do now is you want to heat up your frying pan or wok. And you want to put it straight in. Simple as that. This goes well with the spicy Hasselbeck potatoes. It also goes well with just fried rice or on top an egg or with an omelette. It's very useful. You can make this in a big batch and keep it in your chiller or freezer. If you keep it in your chiller, it can last you about a month. If you keep it in the freezer, it can last you about 2 months. Now all you got to do is cook it down until it's nice and caramelized. And so now, about 1.5 hours later of simmering, our dry shrimp chili oil is nice and caramelized and dark. What do you want to do? You want to transfer it out to a different container. And here are our Hasselbeck potatoes that we have baked for 20 minutes, and we have completely chilled in the chiller. So the next step to do is to deep fry it. Right, now to finish up our Hasselbeck potatoes, what you need is hot oil about 180 degrees Celsius. These are our Hassel chilled, nice and dry, which makes it crispy. Slowly add it into your hot oil. Now you're going to fry it till about 4 to 5 minutes until it's really crispy and golden on the outside. And when you stick a fork or a thermometer in the middle, it reads about 85 to 90 to 100 degrees Celsius, really hot in the middle. After about 5 minutes of deep frying, you can remove your Hasselbecks from the oil. Look at that. Golden, crispy, delicious. Put it into a strainer here. Let all the excess oil go down. I'm so proud of this. Look at the color. Crunchy, golden deliciousness. So, straight hot out of the fryer. Put it onto a baking tray. I just want to do a bit of a quality check. Listen to that. All right, that's crispy. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna sprinkle each top with a bit of salt and black pepper. After doing that, we're gonna take our chili oil. Use 2 spoons, and we're gonna put that chili oil right on top of our Hasselbecks. Careful, because the chili oil is quite spicy. Best thing is to use a spoon, turn it over, press it down. Yeah, nice crust in there. Now what we're gonna do is, we're gonna pop this in the oven at about 200 degrees for about 4 minutes till the chili oil is heated through, nice and crispy, and the oil melts into the potato. All right, it's been about 5 minutes. Let's check on our Hasselbecks. As you can see, the chili oil is melted through. All the oil has gone into the nooks and crannies into the potatoes. What are we going to do? We're going to use a spatula and plate up. So this is a nutrient-packed snack that your family and friends will love you for. You not only can use the dry shrimp chili oil, you can use a garlic oil. You can also fry it, bake it till crisp, and then top it up with some nice fresh pesto. It'll be delicious. To finish off, I've got some spring onions. And there you have it. US Russet Spicy Hasselbeck potatoes. A delicious and healthy snack for you and your family to try it out. Now stay tuned for my last and final recipe, the US Russet Dauphinoise potatoes. So this is my third and final recipe, the US Russet Dauphinoise potatoes. I'm not gonna lie, this recipe is pretty tedious to do, takes a lot of prep time, but the end result is an elegant and classic dish that's packed with nutrients, and it's definitely gonna impress your friends and family, and it's really good for buka puasa or sahur. Let's get started. So to start off this recipe, the US Russet Dauphinoise potatoes, stand by yourself about 7 to 8 US Russet potatoes, that's about 1.5 kilos, and start peeling them. The US Russet potatoes are a great source of carbohydrates. It has 0 fat, 0 cholesterol, and 0 sodium. It provides you the energy to last throughout the day. It's great for buka puasa or sahur. Right, now that you've finished peeling your potatoes, you're gonna stand by a large mixing bowl. You need a large mixing bowl because you're gonna slice the potatoes and then mix it with all this so it doesn't oxidize. Now, in this large mixing bowl, we're gonna add our cream, approximately 150 grams, cooking cream. We're gonna add 3 egg yolks here that are separated earlier. We're gonna add some white pepper powder. We're gonna add some nutmeg. We're gonna add some regular table salt. Now, you whisk this all up. What's gonna happen is, you're gonna take out a mandolin, right? Put it to quite a thin setting. Now, we can test out the potatoes on how thin we want it. So this is not too thin, it's not too thick. You can still see the shadow of your finger in the background. That's perfect. Now, towards the end, you get that little bit of potato that, can't go through. Use your hands carefully. Right now, you're gonna take these potatoes that you've sliced up, you're gonna put it into the cream mixture. Now, why we're doing this is because the potatoes will oxidize out of water, so we don't want that. The natural starch in the russet potatoes will actually help bind the dauphinoise dish together later on when we're baking it. Right, so once all your potatoes are sliced, you mix them into the cream and egg yolk mixture. Keep stirring them. By coating it in the cream and egg mixture, it doesn't oxidize. So the next thing you gotta do, get a roasting tray like this. It comes non-stick, you can buy it at any kitchen store. You wanna take a bit of butter and butter up the sides. Okay, nicely buttered. Now what do you wanna do? We cut the potatoes lengthwise, slice it lengthwise. You wanna layer it. You want it overlapping a little bit. It's a little bit messy to do this, that's why I got the gloves on. Okay, it's a labor of love. It does take a bit long, but the end results, like I say, will really impress your friends and family. Now, after you got a layer done, what you want to do is take a tablespoon. You see all that liquid, the cream, egg yolk, and the starch mixture at the bottom of the bowl. Take a tablespoon and ladle it over each layer. This will help it adhere or stick it and help it form a very nice shape. And then put some Parmesan cheese in between each layer. It gives a nice flavor and nice saltiness. Continue to build until you got the pan full. As you're building your dauphinoise potatoes, if you notice, it's not going to go down evenly. Okay, there's going to be some deep areas in the dish. Now, don't worry. As you're going, find out where those deep areas are, and then top it up with more potatoes. What if I just take the potatoes and chuck it in? You can do that, but once you're unmolding it and then you're slicing it, you won't get a beautiful, even layer of potatoes if you do that. So you got to do it one by one like this. Now as you're finishing layering up your potatoes, that little bit of cream and egg mixture, finish pouring it over the top. Now what you want to do is cut a piece of parchment paper, roughly smaller than the size of the tray. Put it on top. Once your parchment paper is on, take a bit of aluminium foil, give it a good seal. Give it a good tight seal so it steams the potatoes inside nicely. Now you want to put it in a 150-degree oven for 1.5 hours. So after 1.5 hours, the US Russet Dolphin Noir potatoes are done. Now if you want to check the doneness of the potatoes, you take a paring knife, go right in the middle, and the potatoes should feel tender all the way through. Now I suggest if you're having buka puasa in the family, just after it comes out of the oven, really nice and hot, top it up with some cheese, pop it back in the oven, get it nice and melted and brown and bubbly, and then you can serve it as it is right in the middle of the table and everyone can dig in and share. Now what I like to do is, I like to chill it overnight. So I've already chilled it overnight. Now I'm going to show you the best way to unmold it. Now, as I mentioned, this cake tin, this cake tray, try to buy the non-stick ones. It makes it easier for you. Now, if you don't have a blowtorch at home, you can use a stovetop. To show you what you can do, you take your normal paring knife and you run through the sides of the tray. Run through the sides. As you can see, as you're doing it, it's already loosening from the sides. All right. Now just to make sure, go another round. Run the knife around through the sides. Now, if you don't have a blowtorch, all you need is a stovetop. Just heat up the bottom. Careful of your fingers. My nerve endings have all gone a long time ago. Okay, or like what we do in the kitchen, just put it on top of a cutting board. And you just heat up. This will help release the potatoes from the tin. Make sure you get the sides. By magic, it should come out. There you go. Now that you've unmolded your Dolphin Noir potatoes, you want to cut off a section, let's say maybe 3/4 inch. It's a nice portion. You can serve this as it is. You can serve it with your favorite fish or steak. Look at all those beautiful layers right there. Now, as I said earlier, if you can mix all the potatoes with the cream and egg yolk mixture and dump everything into a baking tray and bake it, you won't have these beautiful layers. But if you take your time, you will get these beautiful layers, and like I said, it'll look really elegant and it'll please your friends and family. Again, look at that beautiful layers. All that cream and cheese all in the middle and flavoring it throughout. Now, you put it on a tray lined with a bit of parchment paper. You want to preheat your oven to 200 degrees Celsius. It'll take about 6 to 8 minutes. It'll go nice and golden brown. You can serve this with a piece of fish, with your steak, or by itself. It's really good for if you're doing saho in the morning. You wake up, you don't have time to prepare, you just slice this up, pan fry a fish, put it in the oven. By the time your fish is cooked, you got potatoes to go well with it. Now after about 6 to 8 minutes, the potatoes should be done. Take it out of the oven. Look at that, nice and golden. It's got a bit of char to it. Now if you want to check the temperature, you just take a paring knife, stick it right in the middle, put it to your lips. If it's hot, it's done. You get a little fish spatula. Now you carefully lift the potatoes off and you plate it. And there you have it, our US Russet Dolphin Noir potatoes. It's great by itself, or pair it with your favorite protein, be it a piece of seared fish or a steak. I hope these 3 recipes that I've shared with you today will get you excited, pumped up and inspired to start cooking healthy this Ramadan using US Russet potatoes. That's all from me. To all my Muslim viewers, have a blessed Ramadan.